quickly give you some information about our chapters, such as our mission and what we do in the community and local partnerships and some of the benefits of becoming a member of NSBE. And then we'll get right into our lunch and learn with our speaker, Mr. Jim. So the mission of NSBE, national mission, is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. The Potomac River Professional Chapter embodies that mission at its core, as we are dedicated to the development of Black and other minorities who participate in the field of science and engineering. We develop programs that strengthen the professional development, encourage membership, and create strong relationships within our community. Our chapter supports initiatives that range from the northern neck of Virginia all the way to the southern Maryland. Next we'll go over the people in charge. So this is our 2014-2015 Potomac Professional Executive Board. The president, Mr. Dwayne Nelson, he's looking back. Myself, Mario McMahon. Our treasurer is Brandy Jackson. Secretary is Tabitha Waller. Program chair, Brittany Herring. College Initiative, Mr. Mike Hossman. Co-college Initiative Chair, Christine Southfield Lee. Membership Chair, Randy Jones. Pre-college Initiative Chair, Brandy Jackson. Finance Chair, Tabitha Waller. Parliamentarian, Tony Moss. Mr. Michael Tucker, Social Chair. And Taisha Carrington, Professional Development Chair. And if you ever have any questions about NSBE, feel free to contact any one of us, and we would be happy to assist. Next, we'll go over some of the programs that we have. So our programs are creative, engaging, and interactive, and serve as the primary vehicle through which we fulfill our mission. So we provide programs that range from entrepreneurship, technical excellence, professional development, community impact, college initiative, pre-college initiative, and chapter development. Through these programs, our membership has vast opportunities for personal and professional growth, service learning to give back to our communities, and academic and technical success. So, to give you an idea, some of our programs, our pre-college initiative programs, or PCI programs, are designated to stimulate interest in science and technology, engineering, and math fields in grades K through 12 to promote them to attend college and pursue technical degrees. So we have certain programs like Girls in Gear, and we do Big Brother Big Sister. And through these programs, we engage the students in anything that's STEM related. So whether that's circuit boards or programming or whatever we think is beneficial for them. We also have career days. We also have a college initiative program, which is headed by Michael Hoffman. Through this, we have programs that bridge the gap between collegiate and professional membership through mentoring and several STEM career opportunities and programs. Our chapter has established several college and universities, partnerships with colleges and universities to help encourage young professionals to attain advanced degrees, engineering certifications, entrepreneurship opportunities, and financial independence. We also host campus tours and educational development workshops. We host professional development programs such as this Lunch and Learn series that increase technical, managerial, and leadership skills for working professionals. Also, we attend regional and national conferences and provide professional development workshops outside of Lunch and Learn. We volunteer much of our time to technical outreach community to help or towards programs that positively impact the community. We adopted a stretch of the Dalton Road leading to the base that we keep clean. We provide college information and book bag and supplies to students through our Walker Education and Back to School Drive initiative. We help to provide STEM toys through donations of toys and money from the community to kids. We also hold technology workshops for mature professionals who aren't as tech-savvy. Sometimes we just like to have a little fun and socialize and network with other professionals. So we have programs like our annual summer cookout, where we eat, play games, and dance and have a good time. And we do bowling socials and various other after-work networking socials. Our fundraising programs help us to extend our community involvement by connecting with businesses and providing volunteers to work to support the NSBE's mission. We volunteer at King's Dominion, Shake the Dash, and pick up trash at the King George landfill, along with other fundraising programs. I will go over this in my local partnerships. Without our partners, we couldn't be as influential throughout the community as we are, especially even today, this March and Learning is sponsored by the NSBE Federal Credit Union. So without them, we wouldn't eat. And we also have partnerships with the University of Mary Washington's Auburn campus, the King George YMCA, Rappahannock's Big Brothers Big Sisters, Old Dominion University, Distance Learning, and King George Education Foundation. So now I'll go over some of the benefits of becoming a member. So through our membership, as you can see, we have many opportunities for professional, personal development. So if you like helping the community and improving professionally, NSBE is the organization for you. NSBE membership is open to anyone that believes in the mission. Chapter dues are $25 and national dues are $50, coming to a total of $75 per year to be a member of NSBE. And again, I want to emphasize that NSBE is open to anyone, not just like me. Okay, once you join NSBE, which I'm sure you are all going to do now, you can join a committee. Each committee works with the E4 chair to come up with new, innovative ways to make the chapter better. So now we're going to go ahead and get started. Our Martial series. The reason you're here today. Today we have Mr. Jim Yee, who will be talking about success, what it is, and how you can get some. So briefly go over Mr. Yee. Mr. Jim Yee is a native of Long Island, New York, and graduated from the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis in 1988. During his time as Surface Warfare Officer, he served aboard 2 destroyers, USS Peterson and USS Berry, and deployed to the Mediterranean, West African, and Caribbean area operations. Mr. Yee has served as head of the Combat System Safety Branch, Deputy Director of the Directed Energy Warfare Office, head of the Directed Energy Division, and his current position as the Deputy Head of Engagement Systems Department, in which he is responsible for assisting the department head with leading 800 scientists, engineers, technicians, and support personnel with an annual budget in excess of $230 million. Mr. Yee holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Naval Architecture from the U.S. Naval Academy and a Master's of Public Affairs from Indiana University. He is also a graduate of the Federal Executive Institute. Please welcome Mr. Yee.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank NSBE for asking me to come and speak with you today on a topic that's pretty near and dear to my heart, and success. And okay. So my slides are going to be talking about success, but it's really from a very personal perspective, right? Because success means something different to each and every one of us. So. Without further ado, my first slide actually is kind of I guess, a repeat of what was just said, but I did want to give you some of my background, and maybe a little more than was up on the initial slides there. Primarily just to give you an idea of where I come from, where I've been, and the success or lack thereof that I've achieved over my career. So, I'm from New Basically, I haven't been back there for quite a while, but that's where I was born and raised. Went to the Naval Academy, Indiana University through the NSBE Executive Education Program back in 2008. I was selected for that, so that was a fantastic opportunity there. As a surface warfare officer, I was serving the fleet for about 8 years. My last 2 years were here at Dahlgren. And you might ask why, and actually it was because my then girlfriend and then fiance moved to Dahlgren. I didn't know where it was. I couldn't find it on a map anywhere, but my detailer said, hey, I have this building in Dahlgren, so I said, sign me up. And as fate would have it, things really worked out well. So afterwards, I got out of the Navy, joined the old N department organization, N07, as the ASW project, as part of the ASW project office. Then I went contracting for 5 years, which was actually a very interesting experience. It really rounded out my personal, professional experience because subsequent to that, I was able to say, hey, I've been on the military side of Dahlgren, I've been on in the federal side of Dahlgren, and I've been on the contracting side of Dahlgren. So that's part of what the fabric of the success that I've had here. Let's see. Then I did my accidental external assignment up in PMS 500, and I say it's accidental primarily because when I was a contractor, I was asked to come back into the government to do this thing called HSI, which I really couldn't spell at the time. And I spent many days and early mornings and late evenings traveling up to and back from the Navy Yard with Dr. Daniel Wallace, who many of you know is our Human Systems Integration Guru here. And he taught me HSI as we were going up and down 301. Let's see, and from there, while I was there, NASCO3, the HSI organization, was stood up, a guy named Greg Maxwell, and he wanted someone to represent Human Systems Integration for the first time on the WESR, which is the Weapons System Explosive Safety Review Board. And talk about fate, I happened to be standing next to the phone when it rang. Daniel Wallace answered it and said, turned to me and said, hey, do you want to be a member of the WESR? I said, sure, what is it? Okay, and as it turns out, it was an incredibly rewarding experience to be the first Human Systems Integration representative to the WESR, and it still exists today. I was a group lead in the Human Performance Lab and ultimately moved over to system safety, primarily because of my experience with the WESR. I really kind of liked that system safety discipline. And so I moved over there and lo and behold became the G72 branch head. After about 4 years of branch heading, I said, okay, maybe it's time for a change. I'd like to maybe go into the program management side. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, well, there's this thing called the VIVO that's standing up, and they're looking for a deputy. I said, okay, what is it? Directed entry. Okay, I have no experience with this, so therefore I'm going to apply. And lo and behold, I got that job. And about 9 months into that, Q department reorganized Q20 and made it the directed energy division. And at that point, I was saying, I really do miss the leadership and the line management side. So I said, oh, okay, I'll try. And I got that. So, and there's a little bit of a story behind that too. And then finally, when Mike Hill, who was the G02, the previous G02, got the G department head job, I had worked with Mike because he was the G70 division head when I was G72 branch head, and so I decided to apply, and lo and behold, I got that. So here I am today. And we're going to kind of go through that later on, and you'll see why. So when we talk about success, I think it's important to define what success is, right? And what I did is I kind of did a non-scientific scan of various dictionaries and Wikipedia and that kind of stuff, just to see what is the general consensus on what constitutes success. And ultimately, it came up with this, which is really no surprise, shouldn't take anyone by surprise, right? It's impressive achievement, especially the attainment of fame, wealth, or power. And really, especially in our American society, we normally equate the sports star, the rock star, the successful business person, or climbing the ladder as something, money, as equating to success. Right? I'm not saying that's wrong. It's not necessarily bad, but to me, I think success is much more than that. And so, if you take anything away from this talk today, and I didn't monitor the time either, so if I go over or stop. If you take one thing away, take this, that you need to come up with your own personal definition of success. What does it mean to you? Okay, what are the parameters? What are the objectives? Right? And don't, resist being influenced, or I say here, unduly influenced by the expectations of others. Okay? You're not living your life for somebody else. You're living, your life, you're working, it's your career, it's your life, and it should be your objective. You need to define what success really means to you. And in doing that, you have to think holistically. Right? What do I mean by that? One, you have to find out what really motivates you. Right? And each one of us in this room is motivated by something slightly different than the person sitting next to you. Okay? And the importance of motivation is that the key to success to me is passion. You have to have passion for whatever it is you're doing, or whatever it is you want to do. Passion is the fuel that propels you to success. If you lack that passion, when it comes down to adversity, when the times get tough, when things are not going the way you would hope they would, you're more apt to give up, right? When I was at the Naval Academy, there was one thing that we always said was you have to want it, all right? Anything that's tough, that's worthwhile, difficult, you have to want it on the inside. It doesn't matter if your mom and dad want it, right? You have to want it in order to make it through those tough times. And in doing this, don't compartmentalize. We all probably know someone who is different in one situation than they are in another. Right? Maybe they're different at work than they are in the home, or in a social setting, or someplace else. I think it's important to, from a holistic perspective, be yourself wherever you are, and just be yourself all the time. Okay? Live by the same rules, whether you're at work, in church, driving out I-95, which is very difficult, and just everywhere you are, you just need to be yourself. Okay? Because when you start to compartmentalize, people will notice. People will see you in different situations, and that will do nothing but undermine your credibility, your professional credibility, and who you are as a person. Consider both professional and personal factors. Okay? Success should be your definition for personal definition for success should be life success. Okay? Because if you start to compartmentalize or break these things apart, your pursuit of professional success could come at a very large cost on your personal success, or vice versa, right? If you're okay with that, I guess you're okay with that, but I'm not, personally. Okay? So, again, personal definition of success, make it a holistic one. So, as I was preparing for this, I figured, in order for you to understand where I'm coming from, you need to understand my personal perspective, right, on success and how the things that make me tick. These are, what I'm going to talk about are some of the tenets and character qualities that kind of motivate and drive me, in my perspective. So you just need to understand those. First, my opinion, no, there's no one recipe for success. Just as there's no one definition for success, there's no one way to achieve it. Okay? So, and there are very little right or wrong, other than, obviously, if you're being unethical, if you're breaking the law, you know, that kind of stuff, well, that's wrong. But most of us are not doing that. Hopefully none of us are. But anyways, there are a number of different ways to achieve your success. Those of you that know me know that my faith is strong, right? My faith in God is everything to me. And I put that up there because it's important for you to understand me personally, and this is what drives me. This is what drives my life. This is what the framework upon which I process, you know, how my decisions, my objectives, and those types of things. Those of you familiar with the Bible, you'll notice that the sub-bullet there is from Romans 8:28, and God causes all things to work together for good. I believe that. Why do I put that up there? Because in order to be successful, you have to fail. Right? If you're successful all the time, chances are you're not taking any risks. Chances are you're taking the easy road. You're not stepping out. All right? From my perspective, all things work together for good. Right? And so when I fail, when I fall short, when tragedy hits, I think of that. It says all things. It doesn't say some things. It says all things. So that's what drives me. Another thing is nobody owes me anything. All right? Especially in our society, more so now than, in my opinion, than ever before, is, you know, we're all looking, you know, there seems to be this, well, somebody owes me something. Well, from my perspective, nobody owes me anything. Right? If I want it, if I need it, I need to work for it. I need to earn it. All right? Because if you go down the other path of, well, you know, I'm entitled, you know, the entitlement path, that's a dangerous road to go down, because it's fraught with disappointment, and it also will impact your professional reputation, which we're going to talk about later. We're all placed in authority and under authority. I'm pretty much a military-minded kind of guy, and the way I look at authority is, if I'm in authority over somebody else, I make the decision. I seriously consider the inputs from folks that work for me and around me, but ultimately I make the decision, and that decision, you know, should be implemented by the folks that are within the organization. Likewise, I've always viewed my job as, you know, Mike Hill, the department branch head, department head, is my boss, and I've told him many times, Mike, you know, behind closed doors, I will argue with you, I will let you know what I think, I will give you my opinion, but as soon as you make the decision as the department head, I will own that decision, and I will go off and I will execute as if it's my own. I may not be perfect at it, but it is what it is. As long as that decision is ethical and legal, it is incumbent upon me to move out and to execute. Because that's how an organization has to run. Right? You can't have fractured leadership and undermining of our leadership authority. Okay? That's, in my opinion, is the key to success. Is we have to have a unified leadership. I may not agree totally with the decision, but if it's ethical and legal, it's my responsibility to execute as if it's my own. Leadership is a privilege, it's not a right. Promotion is a privilege, it's not a right. And that gets down to nobody owes me anything. Okay? Leadership is something that is essential for the success of any organization. But as soon as you have leaders who feel entitled, as soon as you have leaders who feel as though they can lord it over everybody, and that paid power is everything, you're going to have poor morale at best, a failed organization at worst. Earn your pay every day. If I have a job, if I'm here and I'm getting paid, I better be working. Bottom line. And that's something I've lived by my whole career, is that, again, I'm not owed anything. It's a privilege to be working. It's a privilege to be within this organization. And quite honestly, having been a contractor and back and now in the government again, we've got it good. Hands down, we have a good deal here, right? And we ought not to take that for granted. Finally, planning is good, but flexibility is absolutely essential, and I'm going to talk about that on the next one. So, again, getting back down to my resume there, if you will. You need a plan. I'm always an advocate for a plan, because you have to understand kind of where you want to go and how you notionally will get there. But you have to be ready to deviate. Why? Because as we move forward in our careers or in our projects, whatever we're doing, there are so many variables, we all know this, that are moving and changing and morphing and everything. So if we're so focused on one specific plan and path, I think we're prone to missing the opportunities. Okay? Because there will be opportunities that present themselves later on that weren't there when you initially planned. Okay? So you might want to call it replanning or whatever it is, but you have to be ready to deviate. So for example, in my own life, the plan was to go to Notre Dame. Well, why is that? Well, because my dad went to Notre Dame. Right? So to do that, I actually went to the Naval Academy. So the quick story there is I had a Naval ROTC scholarship to Notre Dame. I had my dorm assignment and everything. I was ready to go. And my guidance counselor says, well, if you want to go to be a naval officer, why don't you go to the Naval Academy? And my response, of course, was, well, I want to go to college. I had no idea what the Naval Academy was, but he gave me some literature. I read about it and I said, okay, well, now I have to see if I can get in. So one thing led to another. There I was. I was going to be an electrical engineer. My whole life was, hey, I'm going to be an electrical engineer. Why? Because my dad was. Right? Of course. Well, I got to the Naval Academy and took some electrical engineering courses. Quickly realized I had a hard time envisioning those magnetic fields and electrons going through pipes and all that stuff. And I said, well, what is my passion? Well, my passion was ships. Ship design. So I became a naval architect. Ended up getting the senior design project, of course, for that. I was going to be a defense contractor. Why? Because my dad was one. I worked for a diesel team corporation on Long Island. That's what I was going to do. Well, I became federal civilian. I came to custom. So that was it. I was going to live up in Long Island. Why? Because my parents lived in Long Island, right? I don't know how I ended up became part of I don't know that's it. But does anyone plan to, is there like me to live in making sure we have one? No, but I live here and I love it. Quite honestly, it's just a fantastic place to live. Okay, I was going to go into program management, not because my dad was in there, but because it seemed like something to do. And Well, I ended up in line manager. Why? Because that's my whole training, my whole history was in leadership. I was gonna have 2 kids, right? Just myself and my brother. You know, that's what everyone did, right? Well, we ended up with 7 kids. All right. And the story there is my wife wanted 4, I wanted 3. I got my 3. So, and you know, everyone wants a sports car at some point. I actually did have one. I had a 25th anniversary Camaro. Very nice, teal blue, sweet car. Now I have a 15-passenger back. All right. So I deviated some from my plan. My plan was good. All right, it gave me a little bit of direction. Ultimately, the actual, hands down, is better. And so I go through that just to say, you know, have a plan, but keep your eyes open. You know, keep your ears open. Be open to stretching yourself, opportunity, discussions with friends or supervisors or mentors, that kind of stuff. Just be open to it. All right, let's talk about professional reputation. And, you know, given my holistic perspective, I almost want to just scratch out professional and sort of say cultivate a reputation. All right? Why? Because it's your most valuable asset. It will make or break you. All right? We all know folks with pretty much everybody with reputation. Like, your reputation precedes you. The longer you're here, the longer your reputation is, right? And so we all know folks that, you know what, if I'm put on a team, I don't want to work with that person, right? I mean, let's face it. Or, hey, boy, I hope I get that person on my team. You know, that's all part of the professional reputation. And it's not what you think about yourself. It's what others, how they view your talents, strengths, and unique qualities. So you might view yourself as on the right-hand side there, right? Polished, professional, you know, looking good. If others view you on the left-hand side, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. Okay? So you got to be honest with yourself, and you got to pursue a professional reputation. It's very, very important. One thing I tell, you know, my son's about to go off to Virginia Tech for his junior and senior year. He's going to be a mechanical engineer. And I said, Zach, you are always interviewing. Okay? And I tell the people I mentor also, you're always interviewing. I don't care where you are. You can be in the Walmart, you can be driving up I-95, you can be on the baseball field, you can be in your office. It doesn't matter. You're always interviewing because people are always watching. Right? It's not a good idea, again, to compartmentalize and you're a really nasty person on the baseball field, but then you're, you know, pressing the flesh and all happy glad in the office. Because guess what? Your coworkers are there too. Right? And then one or two of them might be making the decision for your next career. Right? That's something that's incredibly important, is to know that you're always interviewing. So I don't say that to say, okay, well, you always have to be on your game, you always have to be pretending. I say that to mean you have to be yourself and you have to improve. I mean, if you're given to anger on the baseball field, change that. Okay? Work on it. Do something about it so that you are who you are everywhere you go. We're not always perfect. I'm not standing here up here saying I'm perfect. Don't get me wrong. Actively try to find out humble. You know, don't ask someone, how do you see me? And you say, well, you know, I'm a little lazy, and then start yelling at them. Right? I mean, that's not gonna do anything. Thank you for the input. You know, 360 feedback. Understand how people view you. You may not agree, but ultimately, again, it gets down to if they view you like this guy, and you think you're like that, this is what matters. Communication. And, you know, 30 minutes isn't really a whole lot of time to talk on this topic, on the topic of success, but I'm hitting the high points. So communication, all forms, okay, not just written, oral, visual, body language. I mean, when you're talking to somebody, you have a tendency to squirm, or, you know, like this, and they're talking to you, you know, that doesn't make people feel good, right? That's a part of communication. So if you know, or if you have some feedback that that's the way you are, work on it. One, be humble and accept the feedback, but two, work on it. Communication, I'll tell you, is on the critical path to success, all right? But for some reason, maybe it's just the science and engineering environment is one of the most neglected aspects, in my opinion, that I've seen. Whether it be in the written word, again, oral, visual, body language, briefing, what you name it. It's something that folks tend to just, how many of you heard the PowerPoint engineering or geograph engineering? You know, it's said in kind of a disparaging way. When I was here as a lieutenant, I was thinking, you know what? You know, some folks will just totally neglect that, and then they'll put together a brief that's very incoherent. It's confusing. The font is, you know, like 5-point font, and you can't read it, or it's too much, that kind of stuff. And it occurred to me, you know, you could have the best idea in the world. I mean, it's just rocking. It's fantastic. But if in the end game you can't communicate it to the potential sponsor, what does it matter? You can have someone else who has a pretty good idea, and they put together a cohesive, compelling briefing. Who do you think is going to get the money? Right? Communication is vitally important. Okay? Especially when you lose your cell phone. You can't communicate. Doesn't matter what you need to say. You just can't say. Continually strive to improve communication. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't say that's good enough, or you know, because it really is the external. It's your branding, if you will, right? I mean, when it comes down to communication, like when Admiral Hill was here last May for the AAPI Heritage Month event. I mean, he's a gifted communicator. How many of you were here? Did you hear Admiral Hill when he came? Okay. But incredibly gifted communicator, and it just you were just focused on it. It was compelling. He got his message across. It was fantastic. And he still works on his communication skills. This is an acronym that I came up with back, I think, when I was a division head. When I talked about communication and what are the components of effective communication or good communication. One was timing, right? If you tell me there's a hole in the road after I fell in it, it doesn't matter, right? It's not timely information. Reliable, okay? Personally, I have a penchant for reliable people. I like having reliable people working for me. Someone that, if I ask them to do something, it's as good as done, or whatever. And who also is willing to tell me, well, that can't be done, right? Or didn't get it done, but here's when I will have it done. You know, just reliability is a very important thing. Understandable. A lot of times when we communicate, and it gets down to this quote, this is one of my favorite quotes, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it is taking place. And the illusion is normally on the side of the communicator, right? Well, I told them, or I sent them an email, or, you know, whatever it is. But until it's received and understood, the communication is not happening, right? And it's your responsibility to make sure that it happens, okay? Or take that on as your responsibility. And then efficient, you know, as few words as possible is the most effective method, you know, that kind of stuff. So, bottom line, communication. Self-awareness. This is an incredibly important aspect of success in anything. One is the heart is deceitful above all things, and we often tend to, a lot of us do, and there's some that don't, but a lot of us think better of ourselves than we ought, quite honestly. Think better of our skills, think better of our experiences, think we're the most qualified in those types of things. Okay? None of us really like to think that, you know, I'm really not worthy of anything. So with that in mind, we have to be honest with ourselves, and not overly critical, but critical enough that we know pretty much where ground truth is, where we are. Because until you know where you are, you don't know where you need to go. Right? That's just basic. And so, in order to make effective change and improvement, we have to be honest with ourselves and know where we are. I mean, I've dealt a lot with some folks who come in and they think they're much better than they actually are. The problem is everyone else knows they're not, except them. And it's heartbreaking sometimes because, you know, you're like, okay, yeah, I know you want this position or what. You're never going to get it. It's just, you know, we have to know our limitations and what we need to work on. So strengths and weaknesses, don't be satisfied with the status quo, all right? If you have a negative aspect to your personality, to your work ethic, to whatever, don't just say, well, you know, that's just me. Okay? Okay, well, if that's just you, then you're staying where you are, you know, and you have to be happy with that. But you know, make a concerted effort to work on your weaknesses, on the areas where you need improvement. And resist blame shifting, okay? Own it, right? If no one understands what you're saying, it's probably not because everyone else is dumb, all right? It's probably because you're not communicating. Own it, right? If someone gives you some criticism, step back and say, okay, is it true? What are the nuggets of truth there? What can I work on? Don't attack. Don't resist. Finally, then this is my last slide that I think is facing difficulties. You know, it's easy to have good qualities in the good times. Right? It's easy to love those that love you. It's easy to be friendly to others that are friendly to you. It's easy to you know, do whatever when you to accomplish the job when you have unlimited funds or whatever it is. Okay, but adversity is the true test of character. All right. So if you're in the good times, be thankful. All right, and use that time wisely. Okay, when it comes to your aspirations for success. So my advice: establish a solid moral foundation. All right. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be credible, if you want to be successful in the eyes of your coworkers and your family. Maintain a solid moral foundation. Practice self-discipline. Okay, not only in the bad times, but practice it in the good times, especially. There's this whole saying where, I'll misquote it, but, the best time to replace a roof is when the sun is shining, right? You don't want the blue tarp over there and trying to figure out how to repair a roof in the middle of a hurricane. Be focused on what's truly important. Okay? Pick your battles. Be tolerant of other folks. Seek to help other folks along. The more, what I found is the more I help others, the better I feel, and actually the more others are willing to help me. Because your help doesn't always come from above. In fact, in my own success, if you want to call it that, it was always because of the people working for me. That's what the true success came. I just happened to be the one in leadership at the time. And don't take the good times for granted. They won't always be there. Right. And when it does come down to adversity, look for the lessons and the good in adversity. Don't always try to avoid it. Don't try to skirt around it. When you have to, go through it. Go through it. But maintain your solid moral foundation. Maintain your self-discipline. But learn from it. Because, the little saying down there is adversity can make you stronger. But it can also make us a whole lot weaker. If we face adversity and we just crumble, or we try to avoid it, or we try to push it off on somebody else, that will make us weak. So that's really my view of underpinning success, whatever that may mean to you. And I'd like to thank NSBE for allowing me to share my perspectives, and I think it's a great organization. Thank you very much.
So on behalf of the National Society of Black Engineers, we'd like to present Mr. E with an award for coming out and supporting our professional development program. Anybody familiar with the program? We've been really successful over the year, and we're definitely thankful for the community and their support, especially our local partners. So today, we'll present Mr. E with an award that reads, the National Society of Black Engineers Potomac River Professional Chapter, with our deepest appreciation, presents Mr. James E. With the award in grateful recognition of your support for the National Society of Black Engineers mission and the professional development program. So again, we thank you for coming out and appreciate the support on our program. Does anybody have any questions? After this, we'll go into maybe a 10-minute spill on our upcoming events and what we do in the community, what we've done in the community, and some of the events we attend next month, later on this month. It'll only take about 10 minutes. And we also have a survey that's in front of you. If you could just take at least 1 minute and drop it off at the chair once you leave, we'll definitely appreciate it, so that way we can always improve our lunch month program.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. You may have touched on this because I can't remember, but coming up on 30 years of service, and when I first started, technology was great, but when I first started out, you didn't have it, and people had to actually get up from their desk and go across.
That was a good time.
Yeah, and I think that was great, but I think there are times when you have to actually have some face on the person to find out, we need to find out something in the time that matters, and
constantly, you know, in the electronics. I know my family is, and try to turn that around a little bit. Thanks.
has a really inflated opinion of themselves. What is your role in that? I mean, do you help them? Do you tell them?
Yeah. Okay, so the question was, if you're in a mentoring situation with someone who,
Or even if it's
or a leadership position, right, with someone who has kind of this inflated view of themselves, you know, what do you do? Well, what I'd like to do is to, you know, gently let them know, right? And there's many ways you can do that, but ultimately, hopefully you can get them in more of a mentoring situation. Or if you're a supervisor, I know when it comes down to demo time or, you know, parts time or whatever, you got to be honest. You got to be honest with them, because that's a prime opportunity to let people know how they're doing. And you know, sometimes, you know, many of us don't like conflict, and we see doing something like that as conflict, but it's really not. It's ultimately you're trying to help somebody. Well, hopefully your heart is right in that you are trying to help this person, as opposed to break them down or, you know, get rid of them. But yeah. And if you're on a peer relationship, you know, look for opportunities to help the person out, because eventually folks like that will start to wonder, you know, why am I not getting ahead? Why didn't I get that position? Those are prime opportunities to just plant the seed. If they accept it, they do. Great. If not, then that's on them. Thank you.
Education makes a difference in naval application and beyond. We also had a presentation with the King George Chamber of Commerce, and we showed them all the things, basically what we just saw earlier today. And Mr. Dwayne Nelson did a fabulous job of that. This past weekend, we did a Retired and Inspired Technology Workshop for mature professionals. So it's like, if you're older and you don't know much about your cell phone, or you don't know much about your tablet or anything like that, or your computer, we had some of our members go out to the church, Shiloh Baptist Church, and there we would help you figure out, you know, whatever you need to figure out. Make sure you work with your devices better. And we were called the NSBE Tech Squad. Okay. We're also happy to announce that Miss Apple on the Award is the winner of our Just Get One campaign. She won a $100 Visa gift card for recruiting a new member in January. So please try and send the grant. And some of our upcoming events, we have our STEM Innovator Scholarship. So if you know anybody who needs scholarship to go to school, they can apply at our website, nsberiver.org/STEM Innovator Scholarship. Deadline is April 30th, so it goes in. It's $1,000. Also, just chartered our first NSBE Junior chapter, and Ms. Siobhan Miller will be the head of that, and annual dues are $5 for that. So this is for children or kids, students who are grades 6 through 12. And NSBE Junior provides activities to help students discover firsthand how engineering and technology relate to the world around them and discover the excitement of academic excellence. So if you want to get involved with that, please contact Mr. Miller or any of the e-boards. Today, Thursday, March 19th, we're going to be participating with the Sea Perch Robotics Regional Competition at Lackey High School in Indian Head, Maryland, 4-7. So, yeah, if you want to volunteer or something like that, you can contact us. This Saturday, we have our Girls in Gears initiative, Engineering the Future, at the Northern Neck Electric Cooperative from 1 to 3 Saturday. So if you know any girls who want to get in gear, reach it up in Warsaw, Virginia. Next week, March 25th to the 29th, a few of our e-board members will be going to the NSBE annual convention. That'll be Mr. Dwayne Nelson, Mr. Albert Waller, and Ms. Brittany Herring, and they will represent NSBE Potomac River professionals at the annual convention. And we also like to congratulate our president, Mr. Dwayne Nelson, for winning the National Society of Black Engineers Golden Torch Professional Member of the Year award. So. There is a career day at King George High School, April 3rd, we're going to be participating in. There's also a campus tour Friday, April 10th. If you want to sign up for that, contact either Michael Hobson or Mr. Dwayne Nelson. Saturday, April 11th, we're going to do pick for pay, trash at the King George landfill in. And we also have a networking luncheon at Poncho Villa, April 17th, Friday, from 12 to 1. If you just want to come out and socialize, come on through to that. That's April 17th. Next month, our lunch and learn will feature Captain Durant, and his topic will be on critical thinking and decision making under pressure. So that's Thursday, April 23rd. You might want to make your way to that. From noon to 1. You can RSVP at our website, nsbpotomacriver.org. We have our STEM Club event at King George Middle School Friday, April 24th, 2015, from 1 to 2:30. And we're looking for volunteers if you want to help with kids. Providing activities to help support them, to help them discover firsthand how engineering and technology relate to the world around them. And our big thing that we're doing is our Stimulate Your Body 5K run, walk, April 25th, 2015. And there's only 13 days left, so go ahead and sign up for that. So if we would really like you to go to our website, www.stimulatedbody.com, and register there. We also got registration forms in that, I think. Yeah. And for kids, it's just from now until March 31st. For kids, it's just $10, and for adults and 15 and older, it's $35. If anyone has any questions, you can ask, or you can just go back and forth. Thank you all for coming. Please follow us on